Hi humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very exciting kind of different video today to wrap the year up. Instead of the regular monthly TikTok debunking video, I thought that it would be fun to do a best of 2025 TikTok debunking video. So if you're new here, I make a video almost every month. I made 9 this year of the most viral, scary, paranormal, or disturbing TikToks that you guys tag me in over there. And every month I react to them with you guys and I attempt to debunk it. So I have made the best of 2025 for today. So here's how it's going to work. There's actually going to be 3 parts to this video. The first 2 parts are going to be the longest. So what I did is I went through each TikTok video of 2025 and I first found the most viral creepy TikTok from that video. And then second, I went through and picked out the best debunk video. So the most viral videos were very easy. I just went through and found the one with the most views on each video. And then best debunk was kind of just my opinion on what my favorite video to debunk of each video was. So kind of the checklist was making sure that that video also went pretty viral, that it got quite a few eyes on it, and then basically like how creepy it was, and then also like what had the most satisfying debunk. So not a lot of the videos where it's like I couldn't figure out what was going on. Again, usually think they're fake still, but just couldn't figure out how exactly they did it. This was more of like those really satisfying debunks, and also just a video I found particularly fascinating and fun to debunk. Because there was 9 TikTok videos in 2025, that means I had 2 TikToks per video. So one most viral and the other best debunk from each video. So there's 18 videos total. Part 1, we're going to go through, I ranked these all from 9 to 1, and we're going to go from the least viral to the absolute most viral video of the year at number 1. That's going to be the first part of this video, most viral. And then the second part of this video is going to be the best debunks. Again, I also rated those from like the 9th best to the first best, the number 1, like ultimate best debunk. And I think my number 2 is probably not going to surprise you all, but my number 1 best debunk will probably surprise you all. And it's probably a video that you guys even forgot that we even covered this year. And then in part 3, I'm going to go over 3 videos that I could not debunk. 3 of my favorite like paranormal videos that were very, very creepy because I could not figure out how they did it. I potentially thought that they were either real. Again, deep down, I don't think any video is real ever. I think if it wasn't set up, there's still usually a logical explanation because I just am not convinced that there's good paranormal evidence on TikTok anywhere. So I'm still a skeptic, but these particular videos, I just can't pinpoint exactly how they were done or how they were fake, or just gave me the extra chills because I did, at least for a few minutes, really believe they were real. Lastly, no AI is also the rule for this video. So none of the videos that went viral that were just so obviously generative AI and somebody made a really creepy video and scared people with, none of those were even put in the running, no matter how many views they got, because, you know, we all hate generative AI and those are just low effort videos and also way too easy to debunk. So no AI in this video, at least as far as I know, with all the information I have. If somebody used AI to make one of these videos, I had reason to believe that that wasn't the case, or that is just a massive mistake on my part, and that is just non-intentional if that does happen. But to the best of my ability, absolutely no stupid viral AI videos. So 21 total videos to look at today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We do have a sponsor for today's video, but we will get right into it after that. Today's video is sponsored by one of my favorite brand partners, Hungry Roots. Small anecdote, I have been so busy this holiday season. I am getting ready for my annual Christmas party that I throw for my friends, and I have just been so busy with work and everything that I forgot to pick my groceries for my Hungry Root box this week. But I only panicked for about 0.5 seconds because I know that Hungry Root uses smart cart technology, so they have gotten to know me over the years as I have built carts myself. So they take everything that I've gotten before and they like get to know me. So if I don't build my cart, they'll build it for me. And let me tell you, that's what they did, and they nailed it. Hungry Root knows, for example, by now that I love snacks. They know that. They sent me so many snacks. It's kind of embarrassing because they're like, we know this girl loves salty snacks and candy. Hungry Root also knows that I despise cooking. They know that I despise prep and cleanup and all of that as well. So they also sent me just a few simple, easy recipes. I made beef ravioli last night with Alfredo sauce, and I just like paired it with some of the grapes on the side just so I had some sort of fruit or vegetable. The grapes were amazing, super, super firm and juicy, and it took me literally 10 minutes to make this meal from start to finish, and it was so delicious. I had one of the milk chocolate peanut butter cups for dessert. These are my new favorite peanut butter cups. I like them better than other brands because they are lower in sugar, but they don't compromise on taste still, and they're actually saltier than traditional brands. And so the ratio from chocolate to salty is just, oh, perfect. Hungry Root does it all though. They have over 50,000 recipes now, and a countless amount of those recipes can be made in under 15 minutes. But Hungry Root also has very high standards. Anything that comes in your box will never have high fructose corn syrup, preservatives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, they have over 200 other additives, including those on their no-no list. Take advantage of my exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Click the link below. It'll be right at the top of the description under this video, or go to hungryroot.com and use code HannahTheHorrible. That's 40% off your first box plus a free item in each box for life when you go to hungryroot.com and use code HannahTheHorrible. Thank you again to Hungry Root for being an amazing sponsor of this channel. Now let's get into it. Okay, and then just one other thing to note as we go through this video: if you see like a grid overlay, if you see some weird thing going on with the video, just mind your own business. Just ignore that. That would be to prevent copyright claims, because media companies like to pay creators that get super viral videos. This is my understanding of what happens. They pay the TikTok creators like a certain amount of money for the rights to their videos, which I don't blame creators for taking that money. I'm not mad. I understand wanting to take that money for making a video. One of your videos go viral. However, those media companies turn around and then take all the AdSense. They go claim videos from YouTube. So even though I spend countless hours on this video, even though this video is probably over an hour and a half, and a 5-second clip could be claimed, that means that they would take all of the AdSense from my hard work from this video that has that for like a 0.01% of the video having their clip in it. And that is why there might be overlays and shenanigans like that. Okay, so let's get started with part one, the most viral videos we watched and debunked in 2025. Coming in at number 9 is Sid Lane 2001 is the account, and her Airbnb video that got over 14 million views.
Scary. Okay. Okay, every time we've knocked before, this doorknob would turn a little bit.
All right, and here's kind of the condensed version of what I had to say about this video in my original TikTok video. So I am just going to be perfectly honest and forthright with you guys. I can't debunk this definitively, unfortunately. And that happens. That happens a lot because, like I've said before, we only have the information that we have. This isn't fact-based stories on TikTok that we're talking about a lot of the time when we talk about the paranormal. This is stuff that is very carefully set up and curated, and there's just so much missing information that was impossible to know. So while I do think this is fake, because I think everything ghost-like on the internet is fake, I still can't say 1000% sure how she did this. Like I said, I will admit she's very good. This is good. This is well done. The only thing I can imagine is that there's a lot of stuff that, like I said, that we're missing. So for all we know, remember, we don't know the landlord. We don't know where she really is. She won't tell anybody where the Airbnb is. She hasn't told anybody which Airbnb this is. To be fair to her, the landlord might not want her to, but it seems like good advertising for his Airbnb personally. But remember, like, she could know the Airbnb owner for all we know. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a family friend who agreed to help her set this up. Just saying. And if that were the case, like, this could easily have been. Notice that she doesn't show us that the door is locked in the video where she's filming this. Like, she rattles the door other times to show us that it's locked, but in this particular video, she doesn't do that. So what if when she filmed this video, the door was unlocked and there was somebody down there? Because the only conceivable way I can think of is that somebody was down there, there was something attached to the phone so that somebody from, again, to keep the shadows, because you wouldn't want to show any shadows either when you're filming the phone, the person would have to be very far away. The only thing I can imagine is that there was a string attached to the phone, which would also explain why she was using the back camera so that we wouldn't see the line if it was the reversed camera. And so there was somebody dragging it from down all the way down at the bottom of the stairs, and then they would have easily been able to lift it again to get the phone to move at the very end. And then the Airbnb host came to put on the little show of unlocking the door and getting her phone and everything like that. But again, that would assume that she knew the guy. Somebody had to have been in the basement, I think, to pull this off. Okay, I'm also going to be, of course, giving you guys any updates, kind of a where are they now in any of these videos, if anything has changed. For some of them it has, some of them it hasn't. The update on this one is that I still don't really know how she did this. I was reading some of the comments from you guys on my video, and one person did suggest that, like, what if this was a raccoon or some sort of animal that had a entrance into the basement and came up the stairs and, like, pulled the phone down the stairs. And like another commenter pointed out, which I agree with, I don't think that this is the case, as much as I love the theory and I love that y'all are thinking outside the box. However, I don't think that's the case, because I think it would be almost impossible that we wouldn't have seen a paw or a nose on the camera somehow. The creature, the animal, would have smelled the phone or something like that. The other reason that I am doubtful that that's the answer is that I think, as a general rule, most wild animals steer clear of humans unless they are being provoked or unless they have a reason to attack or be interact with humans, or if they're sick or something like that. Generally, most animals are scared of humans and are going to steer clear. I highly doubt that a raccoon, where there's people on the other side of the door knocking on the door, sliding something out from under the door, I highly doubt an animal would just be like, oh, I'm going to go steal that. The second they heard that, they'd probably run away. So I just have a feeling that that's not the case here. I think, again, most likely is what I said in the video. And some people added to my theory of, like, we just don't know. Maybe she knows the Airbnb owner or was working with the Airbnb owner. Other people made suggestions that I really liked, that, like, perhaps this is her Airbnb. Maybe this isn't an Airbnb at all. Maybe this is just straight up her house. Or maybe she's really close friends with the Airbnb owner. And so she had the keys all along and was able to set this up that way, just pretended like the door was locked and then made a big production about showing the Airbnb host coming to unlock the door and retrieve her phone, but she knew the Airbnb host all along. Again, it's just one of those things where it's like, once they cut the camera, we have no idea It could have taken them hours to set up. They could have had hours of stuff to do afterward. You just don't know what's going on. So while I do think it's set up, I do think she deserved the viralness here because this was a very creative video. I did really appreciate how hard this was to debunk, and I still can't really, I didn't really debunk it. This was more of just like, I'm pretty sure that's probably what's going on here. Okay, so coming in at number 8 for most viral, this one had over 27 million views, and this was from the account Little Craps. So let's watch that one. This is simply a pareidolia effect, which we also talk about a lot on this channel. If you look at it from the perspective of it just being a thing, this is either a robe maybe hanging on the door and you can only see a part of the robe, but most likely what I think this is it's a mirror or a picture frame that is pinned up on the wall, on the back wall in the other room, and we can just see the border of the mirror or the picture frame, like you can just see the edge of it, and so it kind of looks funky from this distance, and you can just see that tiny bit around the corner. And because it's a picture frame or the frame of a mirror, it's got some sort of design or texture, so it kind of is looking like half a face. That's all this is. There's really no updates on this one. I can't believe that this one got so many views, and same opinion. I think that this is just a mirror or something on the wall and that the camera's moving, so it kind of looks like something is peeking out behind the door. Coming in at number 7 for most viral was the account Mind Matrix Omega. This video had over 34 million views. Here's what I had to say about that video. The passenger says they're at 30,000 feet in the air at this point, and that they are seeing like people and dogs and other animals in the clouds. The poster is very adamant that this is not AI or edited, which I do actually believe them. I think this is a genuine video. If you go to this person's profile, they have posted 3 different videos of this video trying to convince us that it is completely paranormal and that this is not the explanations that literal pilots are offering. So first, red flag, these people, if these are people or actual beings in the clouds, they're not moving. They're staying perfectly still. Nothing is moving. I can see why people think that this looks like people. It definitely does at first, but it's the pareidolia effect. The logical scientific explanation for this is that this is either smokestacks, this is either cooling towers from beneath the clouds, and the steam is coming out, or it's factories and there's smokestacks or steam coming out and they're going through the clouds, and so you can see them from the plane. So look at a picture of this again and look at it from the perspective of it being smokestacks. And then here's another picture somebody posted on Twitter of this same phenomenon from a different angle. So from a much lower angle, this is what it might look like. So if you look at it from that point of view, and then maybe the way the sun is reflecting on the smokestacks, it is causing a shadow on the steam or on the smoke or whatever it is on the clouds. So that's why when you zoom out in this video, that's also what you're seeing is factories down below. The other thing that they try to point out is that this has happened before. Somebody saw a robot or a giant Iron Man in the sky and was like, look at the news, like, to prove that this has actually happened. This OP posted a video about this news article. And so I was like, bet. I went to the news article, and sure enough, same conclusion. People in there, like, from pilots, saying that this is pollution / stacks of smoke from factories. So yeah, the sentiment in my comments seemed to be more or less similar to mine, of just like, it's very frustrating to ask us what we think this is, but then when people do, you're like, you get mad and defensive, and you're like, no, that's not what this is. What OP really meant was, yeah, tell me what you think this is in the comments, wrong answers only. Tell me what you think it is in the comments, as long as it validates my pre-held belief that I'm already convinced this is. Especially when literal pilots that have countless hours on planes and up in the air were telling him what this was, or her, I don't know the gender of this person, to be fair, but like telling the OP what this was, and they still just were not having it. This one originally was on my best debunk video, but it just got too many views to not put it on the most viral. But this is actually one of my favorite debunks of the year, because it does look quite spooky when you first look at it, and kind of with the pareidolia effect, it does look like people. And if you look at it from another lens in mind, with a logical lens in mind, it's very clearly just smokestacks. All right, number 6 was Yay OXO, and that was the weird little Volturi pic. I'll circle it in the pic, and yeah, let's watch the video. This one got over 40 million views.
But I think I see something looking at me through that window. I might be a little delusional, but I think I see something looking at me through the...
It's pretty freaky. If you look in the background up on the hill, on the right, up about halfway up the hill, you can see a group of cloaked figures. It looks like a big cult watching her from the hill. Everybody in the comments is commenting Volturi. If you don't know, just to fill in the context for you, the Volturi is a Twilight reference. Now, I can debunk this one, and again, it's pretty easy, but the video that debunks it only has 43,000 views. Comparatively, the original video has 38 million views, and that means that pretty much nobody actually knows what happened here or why this was fake. So the creator posted this video. It's not a video, it's nothing. But if you read the caption, she says, guys, I used PixArt to edit that photo, but let's all just say it's real to scare everyone, I guess. LMAO. So the creator herself went on to tell people that she edited this video herself. No updates on this one either. This queen just went on posting her regularly scheduled content and just happened to go viral that one time. I have no beef with this one, because she also told us in a subsequent video that this was fake, that she edited this in and just happened to go crazy viral. All right, number 5 on the most viral was from the account Appalachia DK. This video got over 54 million views. And here's what I had to say in the original video. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any proof that this is set up. I don't have proof for a lot of these because we don't have enough information for actual proof that these are set up. But as usual, I still believe that this one is fake. If you look at the rest of this woman's account, she's one of us. She's one of us. She's one of the spooky people. She loves random, weird, spooky items. She shows other random stuff and, you know, games and necklaces and mugs and stuff in her videos. She does claim that her house is just haunted overall, which, again, if hauntings are real, if ghosts are real, I'm not saying they are, but if they are, I would believe it. That's a pretty creepy old house. But my question is, how do we know that her husband or somebody else, a friend or whatever, didn't just lock themselves behind that door and rattle it for the first video? How do we know that she didn't do that? Yet again, very, very easy to set that up. So why wouldn't she have set it up? Her basement is admittedly extremely creepy, and I do believe her that maybe again, I'm an optimistic skeptic, so I do believe her that if ghosts are real, then perhaps her house is haunted, but I definitely think that these particular videos are set up. No updates on this one either, really. I still, of course, think that this was set up, but again, very clever. This video does give me the creeps, even though it's pretty simple, but yeah, pretty good video, and 54 million views is crazy. So, okay, coming in at number 4. Number 4 was the ice cream truck phenomenon. One of the most famous videos that we're going to watch now, that one has over 64 million views, and this whole thing was just quite a big, well-known trend as it is as well. So that's why I counted that video, that 64 million video, as on the most viral list from this year. So let's watch that video.
Hey girl, come here. You want some free ice cream? Yeah,
free ice?
We got a bunch. We got everything you could imagine. What'd you like?
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob, come on in. Come grab it.
I have to come in?
Come on, grab it.
You're supposed to give it to me.
No, well, it's free. No, you gotta come grab it.
Here's what I had to say about it. If you look this up on your own, you're going to see Virginia, the state of Virginia, coming up quite a bit. And people seem to think that this is happening a lot in Virginia and that it is related to Virginia's high missing child rate. Virginia has a higher missing child rate than the rest of the country, it seems, or at least very high in comparison to a typical state. People are thinking that the ice cream trucks being out this late at night is a child kidnapping ring, basically, that there's some sort of ring happening somewhere, or that it's for, trafficking purposes, and that they are doing this in order because ice cream trucks are generally going to appeal to children. So children will go out and that they will try to lure the children into the van and use it to kidnap them and, go on to do nefarious, terrible things with them. And these are cropping up in Virginia. I'm sure they're everywhere else though, too. I have seen them in other places. And so people are thinking that, oh my God, like dozens and dozens of children have gone missing in this 1 week in August, or during these few days as reported. And I think it's related to the ice cream trucks. I think that these ice cream trucks are hiding something. I can sort of debunk this part, at least to the best of my knowledge. Snopes.com actually covered this story and these rumors, and they said that there is no evidence that these trucks are being used to kidnap children at an alarming rate. Something extremely important to point out is that just because Virginia's rate of child missing person cases seems higher, you have to look at what's behind the data always. You cannot just take data at face value. And if you look into it, you will notice that Virginia has a higher rate of missing children's reports, not necessarily long-term missing children or kidnapped children. And that is because Virginia has different kind of laws or different reporting requirements in place than a lot of other states. So specifically with, governing agencies working with NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We talk about them all the time on this channel. The states all are reporting data to NCMEC. Virginia apparently reports missing children data to NCMEC, like all reports, not just reports of children missing over a certain amount of time, not children that aren't found within a certain amount of time, and they also report runaways. Not every state is reporting every single report. In most children missing cases report, it is young adolescents or teenagers running away from home. I'm not saying children don't get kidnapped. Obviously, they do, but statistically speaking, a huge chunk of missing persons cases can be accounted for by children running away from home, getting mad at their parents and feeling like they need to run, and they're gone for a day or two, but they're safe and they come back on their own. The state of Virginia also has kind of weird Amber Alert criteria. My understanding is that there's more Amber Alert criteria than a lot of other states. And so you kind of just get a higher rate of reports because they're kind of all blanketing them under one umbrella, even though different missing children are very different. Obviously, a 13-year-old running away and coming back the next day is very, very, very vastly different than a 9-year-old going up to get ice cream and getting abducted. But in Virginia, they are more or less reported as the same thing to NCMEC. So I would say that that is the biggest part of this that is getting blown way out of proportion, is that there is no evidence connecting these trucks to a higher rate of missing children or missing persons cases. In spite of the fact that this seems like a new viral phenomenon, this has actually, there's been rumors about these weird ice cream trucks for many years. For example, I found a Reddit post of somebody asking 4 years ago why there's ice cream trucks parked in their driveway at midnight. And the general consensus from many people that it seems to be not a child related, but drug related. Now that I honestly am kind of inclined to believe that there are these ice cream trucks going around, and certain ones or certain tunes or what have you, there's certain code words that people go to, and they are dealing drugs as well as ice cream out of the trucks. Some people on Reddit, this is anecdotal evidence, but some people, there was a comment I read that even said that in their town, like, this is well known and very common. It just seems more likely. Now, all that being said, I will admit it is weird, but I do think that probably some sort of drug deals is the most likely explanation. There has to be something going on, right? There's no way that ice cream trucks are looking for customers at 1 a.m. in most neighborhoods, not to this degree that we're seeing these videos come out. But I just think that people are jumping to conclusions. People love the drama. And until there's actual evidence of children being taken or children coming forward and saying this happened, or, you know, the data becomes a little more accurate and the data actually is correlated with the ice cream trucks, I'm going to go ahead and believe that this is for the most part a myth. On one of the comments on my video, I did see somebody talking about how an Eli Roth is most known for like Hostel and the Green Inferno movies, so very family-friendly movies. And he apparently has a movie coming out in 2026 called The Ice Cream Man, which, sure enough, there is a horror movie coming out in 2026 called The Ice Cream Man. So there is speculation that perhaps this whole ice cream thing going viral on TikTok was a publicity stunt for that movie. That's possible. I guess I'm not sure if I buy it, just because it's so far away from when the movie actually comes out. Like, that's kind of like, by the time the movie comes out, everybody will probably have forgotten about this ice cream truck thing. So you'd think they would have been a little more strategic, or would have waited for this to go viral for when the movie is actually, like, there's actually a date that the movie's going to come out. I do appreciate the sleuthing though, and I do think that's still a possibility. I like the other theory that people were saying, which is like, maybe there's really nothing nefarious going on at all. It's not drugs, it's nothing, it's not trafficking. Obviously, I really don't think it's trafficking as it is, but like, it's not drugs or anything like that. It's literally just ice cream trucks selling to adults, selling to the other part of the population. It's not just kids, like adults like ice cream too. And perhaps they're capitalizing on areas where it is a high population of people coming out of the bars and being drunk, or maybe people being a little stoned and wanting to go get ice cream. I could totally see a truck like this in like Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is a neighborhood in Seattle. It's like my favorite neighborhood in Seattle to at least go hang out in. And they have like hot dog stands throughout Seattle, like little hot dog stands outside. I'm sure this is in all major cities too, but they have hot dog. Oh, and the hot dogs are so good. You get out of a bar or something and you've been drinking and you get a hot dog. Oh, delicious. Or you were like going dancing or something like that. If there was an ice cream truck at midnight in Capitol Hill and I had just come out of a club, I would be all over it. I would definitely love ice cream at midnight. It tastes better at midnight. So I could see that being a thing too, where it's like, this is literally nothing. It's literally just them selling at different odd hours of the day after the kids have gone to bed. All right. Coming in at number 3 for most viral. This comes to probably no surprise. This one had 67 million views, and that was the Elmo balloon saga. Let's watch it. I think I'm not going to watch the whole video because it's just one thing. That's all it is.
Babe. Quiet. Quiet.
What the
So here was my original debunking and opinions on this matter. One of the top comments is accusing them of faking this by putting one of their other videos in reverse, saying that they've seen the original video and that this video makes it look like Elmo's going up the stairs, but the original video he's going down the stairs. However, I could not find any evidence to substantiate this claim. I don't know what video it is that this person is talking about that they supposedly saw that is this video, except backwards. And I have looked at every video on this profile. There's not a ton of videos on this account, and every single video, none of them matches up to this video. And it just doesn't look like a reversed video to me. There are several other Elmo balloon videos on their channel, especially where it looks like Elmo keeps going to the basement. That is the recurring theme on the channel, is that this Elmo balloon keeps floating its way to the basement. Other skeptics in the comments were suggesting that this is AI. This is not AI. This is definitely a real video. Right now, at least, we can still tell if it's AI or not. I think people in this case are getting AI mixed up with VFX, and they're not the same thing. VFX actually takes some skill. It's not just a prompt you put into a computer to generate an image or a video. VFX is special effects. If this was VFX, what they mean is that she took the video of the balloon floating up the stairs and then she animated the movement of the legs in post, basically. I highly doubt that this video or this account uses VFX either. I think there would be simpler ways to set this up, and VFX is a skill. People go to school for VFX. Like, VFX is something that takes a lot of training, skill, and knowledge of editing software. So it is technically possible. Maybe one of these people are movie makers and they're able to do this, but I just highly doubt it. And I think there'd be easier, less time-consuming ways to set this up. I think that this one is actually a lot more simple than people are even thinking it is, for people that don't believe it, like me. And I honestly think that this one is simply done, and all these other Elmo videos on their channel is done with fishing line or magician's string, whichever. Clear string that doesn't pick up very well on a camera unless you get a very specific angle. People use fishing line all the time in fake ghost videos. For the video that we just watched, what I speculate that they're doing is that, notice the stairway has like somebody who could be on the stair. I think that the fishing line is most likely around Elmo's neck because his head is so big and his body's so big. There's going to be enough shadow on the top and on the bottom, over and above where the neck is, where it would be really hard to see the string on camera. So I don't know that for sure, but that is my guess, because if it was around a wrist or something, it would also pinch the wrist more and it would be more obvious. And I believe that somebody is standing off camera, probably above the stairs, like holding Elmo by this string like a marionette and gently pulling him up the stairs. I think that they're making the foot movement by knocking him, by lowering him slightly so that his foot hits the stair, and then it bends back when it hits the stair, and then when it's released, when they lift up again, it looks like it moves up the stair. Does that make sense? I think that somebody is marionette dolling this Elmo balloon up the stairs and hitting the stairs strategically to make it look as if he's kind of walking up the stairs. And a couple updates for you guys on this one. Turns out I was on the right track in my video, but I did miss a couple things. So first of all, I would like to address, I still stand by the fact that this is not AI. I don't think that this is AI. I think this could have been set up way more convincingly. Like, it's going to be more convincing if you don't use AI, where people can kind of find clues that it's AI. And then secondly, I just think generative AI, especially this year, has gotten a lot better than it was. And even a few months ago, it was still really easy to tell. It's still pretty easy to tell most of the time. Like, even in the North Korea videos where it's pretty well hidden, we all figured it out. Thanks to Jeremy, we all figured it out pretty quickly. And there's obvious clues in there to tip you off to it being AI. And I just think it would have been a lot more obvious that this video was AI. Like, generative AI at the beginning of 2025 was still like very smooth and like kind of clunky. The texture was all very smooth, but like the videos were still clunky. There would have been an obvious mistake, in my opinion. I don't think this was AI. I think they easily set this up with just household items. So I do think that this is strategic fishing line. I still think that I'm half right, that I am pretty sure that they used fishing line of some sort, or the other possibility is a draft of some sort. The part that I missed in the first video is that this is actually something called an airwalker balloon. Airwalker balloons are helium mylar balloons that are like life-sized, that they're very, very big, and they're called airwalkers because there's little weights put in the feet. So with the helium, and the weights are perfectly measured so that the balloon still floats, so that the balloon doesn't drag on the floor, but the balloon's just slightly hovering above the floor still. So they're like weighted specifically for that. That combined with the helium makes these balloons walk on their own. Like, that's kind of the whole thing. That's why they're called airwalkers, and that's why they appeal to kids, is because they can kind of like wander around the house on their own. That's kind of the whole point. So that's the part that I missed in the first video, and that is definitely what this is. People have found this exact same balloon, and this is an airwalker balloon, which would explain why it's, even if it's being manipulated, why it looks like it's walking up the stairs. It's like tapping the stairs. The other thing, I also said that I don't think this video is reversed, and I kind of take that back as well. It might be. It might not be, but it might be. So here's what the video looks like in reverse, and it all depends on when they set this up. If it was easier for them to pull, to hide somebody down there and then use the string to pull the balloon down the stairs, if that was easier and looked better, or if it was somebody holding the camera at the top of the stairs, slowly pulling a string upstairs. I could see pulling them down the stairs might have the Elmo hit the stair, make it easier to hit the stairs with the feet better, and therefore when reversing the footage, make it look more natural, like it was walking up the stairs. I could also see them using a draft of some sort. They might have just been like using a very, very, very light breeze. Feels like they'd have more control with the string though. And then I think regardless, they put a voiceover to kind of like match all the audio in the video to be like all shocked, especially if it was reversed. Then all they would have had to do was do a voiceover. All right. And then coming in at number 2 for most viral, that one pseudo was this one. This one had over 80 million views. Here was that video. It's very quick. Here's what I had to say about that one in the original video. If you save the video, slow it down and take a screenshot, here is what we are seeing in the video. And if you kind of look at it, it really looks like a guy sitting on a stool or a chair, sitting just looking out at the water, or sitting in the middle of the trail. The creator actually confirmed this in a follow-up video, saying that, yeah, it did seem like it was just a guy sitting in the middle of the trail on a stool, but they made a good point of like, that doesn't really make it much less creepy, because why is there a guy sitting in the middle of the trail so that nobody can get past? No updates on this one. This just happened to go viral. I still think that this was just a guy sitting in the middle of the path, and not a very courteous person for that matter, though, to just sit in the middle of a trail to make sure that people either can't go around you or have to confront you to go around you. Just a little inconsiderate, but other than that, I'm pretty sure that this was just a guy who was sitting in the middle of the path, and it was so quick that it could look like something else, or it looked very, very weird on camera. 80 million views though. Okay, and the number 1 most viral video of 2025 was from Rachel Parkinson, and Rachel Parkinson's video got 176 million views. 176 million views, over twice as much as the number 2 spot this video got. So let's watch that one. This one's definitely going to have an overlay at the very least. So yeah, if you didn't catch that, they were in an Airbnb in Australia is where they are. And in the Airbnb, they discovered a weird door looking thing in the kitchen behind the counter, and then realized the counter slides out. And sure enough, there is a weird cellar thing that goes down. Yeah. So they post a part 2, and this is when they all brave it and they actually go down the stairs. And to our horror, we see that there's a mattress with like a blanket or a pillow or something down there at the bottom of the stairs. So they freak out and go back up. But then they post a part 3, and it turns out that that part was a joke. So everything is real. The writing on the wall, according to them, is real, but they did throw down an old mattress and a blanket to the bottom of the stairs in order for, they said in the caption, for the drama, but just kind of as a joke to make it extra creepy. But they do admit to that pretty quickly, so I don't really have an issue with that. So then in part 3, they do actually go down there for real. They take a flashlight, kind of once they figure out there's nobody actually down there, I think. They take a flashlight and they go down there and they actually show us what's down there. And it's pretty anticlimactic, actually. Climatic. It's actually not that much down there. It's not seeming to be a wine cellar. It might be a wine cellar and there's just no wine down there, but there's not a whole lot down there. It's just kind of a little basement area. So this could be a wine cellar. Like I said, that might be what it's for, but there's just not wine down there. The other suggestion, which makes sense, and I did Google this, there are tornadoes in that area. The video said that they're in a Yarra Valley, which is apparently close to Melbourne in Australia, and that area can get tornadoes. So a lot of houses in tornado areas are going to have a cellar or somewhere underground safe to go in case of a tornado or tornado warning. So that's possible. It could be a little tornado thing. It's just that begs the question, why is there a lock on the outside of that cellar? Yeah, I can't really think of too many reasons why you put a lock on the outside of a door unless it's to keep somebody in. Now, it is possible that like the door just doesn't stay closed. Like maybe they installed a new door when they remodeled the kitchen and the door just doesn't quite fit in the frame, so it doesn't quite stay closed completely. So maybe they installed the lock to keep it closed because then there's like a draft from the basement, right? And it makes the living room and the kitchen really cold. That's my best guess. That's possible. That's probably what I'm going to keep telling myself because that is pretty creepy. So no big updates on that one either. I did see her make a video about how she was nominated for Video of the Year on TikTok, probably because it's one of the most viewed videos, one of the most viral videos. So she did get nominated for that. I don't think that this one was set up. She said in the video that they set up the mattress thing just for fun, just because they thought that that was funny. But, you know, again, she came forward and told us that. So whatever. Finding the little hidden, I think it's not so much that there's hidden rooms in a lot of Airbnbs. I think it's the way that these hidden rooms look that's so eerie. The way that these rooms look was so weird. Just the way that the counter came out and the staircase going down was all dark. So creepy. 176 million views. Definitely, I think, the most viral TikTok video that we watched this year. All right, moving on to part 2. This is the part I'm really excited about. These were my favorite to go through. I'm really excited to share these with you. These were the best debunks of 2025. Coming in at number 9 was Casey Dreyer. This was the cruise ship art. And here is what I had to say about that one. How else is anybody going to interpret that art as anything other than weird and trying to cater to a certain type of person? Yeah. However, let's look at the full context together and see if we can kind of make sense of this. So if you go down the comments rabbit hole and find other people talking about this, this is an art piece. This was an art installation by the artist Dorothy Cross. Dorothy Cross is an Irish artist. Dorothy makes a lot of art that involves commentary on religion. And I can't really tell if she's pro-religion or anti-religion. Couldn't tell ya. But either way, her art's pretty religiously charged, we'll say. For example, in this same exhibit, this is all from the exhibit Even, she has a Bible that I guess she said was like from her family, and it has a perfect hole drilled through the entire Bible, and the Bible is then flipped to the page of two Marys standing there, and you see that the hole is perfectly drilled out the two Marys' hearts. Other people thought that this was some like weird perverted commentary on religion, like about predators in religion, but from what I saw, she's never said anything about it being a commentary on that. All she said is that it's like the Marys' hearts are gone, are drilled through. So she kind of does make bizarre artwork like that. There's other ones where she has taxidermied gardener snakes with like crystals, just stuff that like that is very much like, is this art? Because some people don't think this is art at all, but other people would think that this is like priceless art, that she's literally made it in museums and stuff, you know, like that kind of stuff. It definitely sparks conversation, we'll say. So these photographs that we saw on the cruise are from this same exhibit called Even. These photographs were taken 1995 or 1996 is what the exhibit says. And it's a series of black and white photos. And she called it Close Your Eyes and Open Your Mouth to See What God Will Give You. And this, she also said, was apparently based on a game that they played as children, a game of trust, which I think involved like closing your eyes and opening your mouth as a child. And I think you played it with other children, and they put, you'd have to trust them to put this is not gross at all. This is literally just a childhood game. But what I understood is that it's a game where you put, you know, food items in each other's mouths, you know. But clearly these art pieces being called that, I think, was her commentary on communion. And I think what it is she called it Close Your Eyes and Open Your Mouth to See What God Will Give You, basing on a game of trust she played as a child, to kind of be commentary on literal children going to church and just blindly following what their parents tell them to, and just opening their mouths and letting strangers put, you know, the communion crackers in their mouths without them really knowing what it is, and also just kind of going along with it all and being like, okay, without really getting to make that decision for themselves. That's how I interpreted it based on what I read. I could be totally off base there. But either way, it's obviously some sort of commentary on communion. That is what these children are supposed to be representing. And when you see it in the exhibit, it looks way different in context. It is thought-provoking. It is supposed to cause conversation and perhaps even make somebody uncomfortable, but I think more on the implications of communion in general, not so much actually where all of our heads go. So in context, very important part there, in the correct context, this is not inherently creepy. If you saw it in the exhibit, you would probably be like, that's an interesting thing to take a photo of, but you wouldn't be like, clutches pearls, you know? What is creepy is seeing these photos on a cruise casually in a hallway without any sort of explanation or context with them. Like, literally, who approved this? How dumb did the designers of this cruise ship have to be to see this and go, yep, period. Let's slap this up on the wall for thousands of people a year to have to walk by as they go to their rooms. Yep. Say less. Perfect. I just don't understand how they didn't realize how inappropriate and weird this is out of context. I understand why people would be put off by this. Like, literally, like, who is this for? You know what I mean? Like, why? Why? When there's so much other art, so much beautiful art to choose from that would be more on brand with a cruise too, that you could put up on this wall, and this is what they chose. Just very, very odd. Now, my personal opinion, I don't think there's a conspiracy here. I think that this was honestly just a weird oversight that nobody's really caught on to before, and this probably a lot of people thought it was weird. She even said that she went and told some of the crew that she thought the art was weird and made her very, very uncomfortable and stuff, and they probably get that all the time. I don't think this means that there's some big conspiracy or, again, ring or something in the cruise or something weird going on like that. This seems very much, I think if that were going on, I don't think it would be this obvious. I don't think that they would put it this much in your face. I think that there would be a lot more subtle hints, you know, like they wouldn't be so obvious about it. They wouldn't just put the clues right in front of your face like this. This seems way more just like dumb design idea. And again, like if you watch, Dorothy Cross has a TED Talk that you can watch where she talks about her art and everything like that. And if you just watch her as an artist, she's not creepy whatsoever. And none of her art is either. It's very clear that genuinely none of it was intended the way people are taking it. It's just that this was grabbed somewhere in context and then thrown out of context. You know what I mean? So I do understand why people are kind of angry about this, and not the art piece. Again, I don't want to be like overreactive and say that like there's anything wrong. Like, art, it's legitimate art. She's a legitimate artist, but in the right context. Out of context, this is very, very weird. No huge updates on this one. My opinion on this one is the same. I think art is art, and I think knowing the context around this is really important, because this artist is known for religious commentary. And as we know from what I just showed you, that is what her intention was behind this little exhibit, was all about, I think, you know, the Catholic Church. And we don't know if the artist is pro-religion or not, at least not what I could find when I researched it. So in context, it makes sense. And in context, I think art is art, and, you know, artists should be able to express themselves. I think I do agree, though, that I don't think that this is appropriate artwork for a cruise ship, personally. I don't think that I don't know who chose this artwork. I'm not sure why they wouldn't choose something oceany or something summery, you know, something that would make their guests be excited to be there and to like fantasize about their, you know, how relaxing the trip was going to be. I just find that very odd to put artwork like this on a cruise ship without any context around it, without a plaque. Maybe there's a plaque somewhere, but like not explaining what's going on here. Very, very odd. So I thought that was a really interesting debunk because we were able to find the origins of the artwork. However, I placed it at number 9 because it's not paranormal, and this one was just also pretty easy to debunk, but I thought it was a pretty satisfying story all around. So coming in at number 8 for best debunks, this was the car on the hill one.
Am I tripping, or is there a car in the sky?
That one was from Money House 27. That one had over 13 million views, and here was my debunking of it. So at first I was thinking like maybe this is a drone. Maybe that's just a weird drone with similar lights to car lights for some reason that I couldn't tell you. So that's kind of what my first thought is. That's a lot of the time what I think weird UFOs are, is often just drones, because drones are getting so big nowadays. But then I realized what this most likely really is. And again, this wasn't my idea, which I feel stupid for not coming up with this on my own, but I did get helps from the comments, I will humbly admit. But this is, again, we saw a video like this a few months back when we talked about this, but this is another one of those videos where it's a hill or a mountain, a very large hill or a mountain behind the building. And because it's so foggy out, you can't see the actual road / mountain that this car is driving on. So the fog is covering all that, but obviously the lights, the headlights of the car are still going to shine through the fog. So that's why it looks like a flying car, because there's 99.9% sure that there is either a hill or a mountain behind. And because the lights on the building that she's aiming the camera on are also so bright, it's gonna make it look even more obstructed by the fog. So yeah, if you watch this video again with that lens, with that in mind, then that very much is what that looks like to me. And it does look freaky. It does look like it would be flying if the fog was covering up the ground that this car was driving on. My theory on this hasn't really changed. However, I did see somebody else comment that they thought that maybe this was a reflection of a car off the windshield, which I did appreciate that theory as well. Like maybe it was the reflection of a car on the top of her windshield from like behind the car or something like that. So it kind of looked like it was flying or like in the air, but it wasn't. I still like the hill mountain theory, since we've seen videos like that before of cars looking like they are floating or looking like they're flying when really the weather is just such that you can't see the hill or the mountain blends in with the background, but you could still see the lights of the car. Just like on this video, we saw it is very foggy. Like it is not a clear night. You could not see anything. So to me, the hill / mountain thing makes the most sense. I put that one pretty far down just because it's, again, a short video and like not paranormal-ish, paranormal adjacent, but still had a pretty satisfying explanation. One of those that looks very, I think, points for looking extremely bizarre until you know what it is or think about it for a few minutes. Okay, moving on. Coming in at number 7 for the best debunking was the video of the creature breaking the tree in half. So here's this video. We're not going to watch the whole thing because the video is like over 3.5 minutes long.
I hope you can hear this. It sounds like gorillas fighting in the tree. They're breaking limbs bigger around than me. I've never seen anything like it in my life. This is the second time I've come over here. And the first time when I got up under them trying to figure out what it was, they started breaking limbs off and throwing them at me. And I still cannot figure out what it is. Look, they're ruining this freaking place. What in God's name is it? It's bigger than me, whatever it is. Because it's breaking limbs off that it would take me 2 minutes to saw. Look, see, he's coming right above me right here. He's fixing to throw something at me, whatever it is. Yeah, they don't like you messing with them. Look. What in God's name is going on? Look, that's bigger than me. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. What in Jesus' name is doing this?
And here was my debunking. Here's what I had to say about it. And then I saw some comments from people who are from South Carolina going, this is weird because you're posting this in the winter time, and South Carolina, our trees do not look like that in the winter time. Fun fact, South Carolina trees would not have foliage on them like this. This has to be the spring, if not the summer, maybe, but most likely the spring. So that doesn't make any sense. And yet every time I'm seeing this video, I'm still seeing it attributed to this account. And this is where my meanness comes in, because Cats and Facts / Sunwell, I have a bone to pick with you. The original poster of this TikTok stole it. They stole this video. This video is not from winter 2025 / end of 2024. This video is from May of 2022, and it was originally posted on YouTube by someone else. This TikToker stole this video without any context, without letting people know that this was somebody else's video that they were reposting, acting like it was his own, acting like this is him in the video, and has not said a peep since. This is a problem. That is theft. That is not fair use. That is straight up stealing. What are you doing? I found the original video. The original video was posted on May 26, 2022 on the real account. The actual poster of this account goes by JeffX1414. South Carolina is tagged in the video, and that would then make sense why the trees are full of foliage, because this was posted in the spring and not in the winter. So that now makes sense. That also further confirms that this is not monkeys, even though, as I explained, we already know that it's not, but also the monkey thing happened just at the end of last year, and this was 2 years ago. So things are starting to unravel. But the description says, this happened to me when I was headed to fish at an apartment lake around 11 p.m. Approximately 30 seconds after I quit videoing, the entire tree popped so loud and then fell, and I got out of there. So the person in this video, I'm kind of surprised, but in this video they say, like, this isn't a bear, this couldn't be a bear. And to that I say, why not? Let me explain. So South Carolina, sure enough, does not have grizzly bear, so this probably isn't a grizzly bear. However, South Carolina does in fact have black bears, and as we know, here's a video of it, black bears can climb. Not only can they climb, but they actually climb quite well. It's kind of scary. But a black bear couldn't snap a tree in half. Yes, it could. Bears actually damage a lot of trees. It's actually a problem in some areas because they really, really fuck up the forests in a lot of places. They scratch the bark off a lot of the times just because they're trying to mark their territory, but they also scrape off the bark to get underneath in the trees to get the sap sapwood under the bark. They are very destructive towards trees because they are trying to get that sap because it's a good source of carbs and they really, really like it. And when you Google this, fancy that, they say that it happens most often in the early spring when bears are looking for this sap. I think it has to do with the fact that the sap, there is the most sap around this time of year, like it just formed. So I don't understand why this can't be a bear. And honestly, I think what's most likely happening is that it's multiple bears. There's probably multiple black bears in a family that climbed up, scaled that tree, and is ripping branches off. If you still don't believe me, here's a video I found on YouTube of some trees just straight up snapped in half.
This broken off tree and the one behind me were on their way to becoming the towering coast redwood trees that you see along the coasts of southern Oregon and northern California. These ones and the two behind me were just getting to the point where they were starting to outgrow all these brushy species around them and be free to grow into giant redwood trees. But it's not going to happen, because bears killed them.
Now, to me, at least, I know that it sounds crazy that these trees being so big, they could do that. But to me, they look about the same in diameter as the trees in the video we just watched. So to me, this is totally plausible and would make way more sense than a Sasquatch, who we don't know. Even if Sasquatch were real, from people that have done, you know, the research that can be done on it, they don't seem to climb trees as far as I know. But that's really besides the point. So no updates. This guy just got millions of views posting somebody else's video. And the reason that still just like grinds my gears is just that you could have transformed this to make it fair use, to talk about it, to give us context, to ask us what it is. You could have done anything to make this more ethical, for lack of a better word. It's not like the most egregious thing anybody's ever done, obviously, but I just find it just kind of gross, just kind of yucky to just post other people's content, getting millions of views, and then never saying a word about it, never explaining that you stole the video from somewhere else, from another platform, so you know that people wouldn't really just find it on TikTok. I still loved this one as a debunking because it was paranormal. There was an implied paranormal element to it with the creature, but I love that I just was able to hunt down the original video on YouTube, and also kind of the discussion around how likely this is that this is just a bear, because fun fact, as many of you know, bears can climb. Okay, so coming in at number 6 was the NBC South Florida one, the alien on the Ring doorbell camera. Let's refresh on what that video was.
When I opened it, I was already in my room and I was like, I'm going crazy. I'm literally going crazy, like I'm losing my mind. And I took the phone to my son, so I was like, can you check this for me? I was like, am I seeing things, or is this? And he's like, Mom, it's an alien, call the police. And I was like, I'm not calling the police on an alien, Kevin. I'm not, I'm gonna sound crazy. What am I gonna sound like?
Here's what I had to say about that one. Now, credit to the comments for figuring this one out extremely quickly, but what if, now just stick with me here, what if this is not an alien? Just wait. What if this is not an alien, but a person walking by wearing black, holding a white bag? I know. Pretty crazy to think that. Imagine that there's a logical explanation for a trivial dumb video that made it on the news. Now, if you pause the video, slow it down, and watch that part a few times, you can kind of see where it looks like this alien creature has like this big head and a very indented neck because it has such a huge, brain head thing, right? Well, that is most likely somebody holding the bag. Somebody with like a black hoodie on, and they're holding the bag, so the bag is like squeezed in on that spot where their hand is. And this is a white bag reflecting off the Ring doorbell camera. The problem with like paranormal videos on Ring doorbell footage is like, I never trust it because Ring doorbells are notoriously bad quality. People walking by look like literal ghosts. Like sometimes it looks like they appear and disappear out of nowhere on Ring doorbells because of the motion sensors. And the quality is so bad that people literally look like ghosts on Ring doorbells all the time. That's because Ring doorbells don't need to be good quality cameras to serve their purpose. So the quality being so bad and it's so dark, if somebody was dressed in dark clothing, they're going to blend in with the surroundings so well that it is going to look like just like this white object walking by. It's not an alien. This one is so funny to me. I just can't believe that it made the news. I can't believe that it made the news. It took me all of 5 minutes to figure out what was going on here. All I did was read some comments, watch the video a few times, have some critical thinking skills, and was able to figure out what this was. But a literal news station where they're paying, there's employees, there should be people double checking and verifying the stories. Somebody at NBC South Florida, nobody took 5 minutes to look into this to see that it's literally nothing, that it was a nothing burger. That it's just, I shouldn't be more professional than a news station, but hey, maybe that's a hot take. Anyway, I still really liked that one though, because again, it does look really weird when you first look at it, but it has a really satisfying conclusion / explanation. I thought it was really funny that the news picked it up, and in spite of being debunked, it was still supposedly paranormal. Okay, and the radio rental one was next. I'm not going to play any videos from that because it really isn't about a video. It was just about this picture that I had been tagged in, and my opinion on this one hasn't changed, and I have had the same opinion for years. So here was my debunking of it from the original video. I actually knew about this photo, had seen this photo, had known the whole story, and studied all of this photo and what people had to say about it long before it went viral. And that's because it's part of a podcast. I'm sure many of you listen to this podcast and already know about this photo too. It's a podcast called Radio Rental. Okay, so that live photo is a companion photo to one of the stories told on Radio Rental, specifically episode 19. The second story in the episode, a woman tells a story. The woman that telling the story is the woman in the picture. So a summary of her story is that she runs really, really giant marathons, like hundreds of miles sometimes, like very, very long marathon, multiple day marathons. And she went to Hawaii for one of these marathons, and she was running one of these like multiple day, hours and hours and hours and hours of marathon just running. So she says that somebody took this photo of her while she was on the run. They did not see this ghost in the photo until they got home and were looking at the photos, and then they catch it in the photo. So they post this photo and the story behind it, and it does, sure enough, go viral. They're looking up like the mud people of Hawaii, or like what this could possibly be, and she comes to the conclusion that it's a night marcher. She puts that context with the photo when she posts it online. That's also important. She posts that like, we ran into a night marcher in Hawaii when we were running this marathon. Now, a night marcher is part of Hawaiian mythology. They are the spirits of ancient warriors, and apparently they protect some areas in Hawaii and everything like that. In the story, at the end, the storyteller says specifically that after it went viral online, they were getting native Hawaiians commenting on the photo, commenting on the post, and saying, take this down, we don't want this up, and this is not a night marcher. She says in the story that Hawaiians were giving her feedback that they didn't like this up, that they did not want her to have posted this. They also were like, this is not a night marcher, by the way. This is part of our mythology. We know what a night marcher is. That's not what this is. Take this down. They were mad. And what does she do? Nothing. In the story, she doesn't even say that she hesitated or that she felt bad. All she does is make it seem like that's more validation that her story is true, that is what it is, because they were acting so weird about it. It's so annoying.
Immediately, we get like hundreds of comments and shares, and within 24 hours, we get Hawaiians commenting. They're not happy at all, because Hawaiians did not like us claiming that it was a night marcher. They ripped us to shreds. It was more us jumping to the conclusion like, this is a night marcher. They believe in these things. They believe in these warriors that have protected their islands for centuries. It's kind of taken a jab at like their culture and beliefs, and so they just took offense to it, and they're like, these Hallies don't know anything about Hawaiian culture.
So her friend ends up taking the post down, but she's like, well, I didn't have a lot of followers, so I didn't take mine down.
And so we took it down. I kept it up on Instagram because I have like no followers. Cassie has a bunch, so she took it down.
Anyway, all that being said, the whole other thing that pisses me off is that this is not a night marcher. This is not a ghost. This is not a paranormal picture. And I don't know why so many people think that this looks like a paranormal picture. It looks creepy. Yes, it is scary, but that's just a dude. That's just a dude in the woods dressed in camouflage with mud on his face. Or it's a woman. I don't know. It could be either a man or I have no idea. But it's literally a person. They don't like come out of nowhere like people imply. It like, look at the live photo again. It's just somebody like coming around the corner. And so a lot of people were saying like, maybe it's a drug addict that's like lost in the woods. And she even addresses that in the story too. And she's like, it's not a meth head. I wouldn't know if it's a meth head or not. I'm telling you, this woman is insufferable.
And then there were a ton of Hawaiians that were like, oh, that's most definitely a crackhead or meth addict. I think I would know if I walked by, like bumped shoulders with a meth addict during a 100-miler.
Like, do you have compassion for anybody but yourself? So my guess is that this could be somebody experiencing homelessness. It could be somebody wandering around. They are homeless. It could be also a predator for that matter. Somebody dressed up in camouflage and like creeping in the bushes of the Hawaiian jungle, waiting for somebody to come by that they could snatch, I guess. I mean, that seems unlikely because why would they just be waiting out in the middle of nowhere? But it could be a number of things. It could be somebody that is just in camouflage for some reason, but that's what it looks like to me. This is just a person. It's just a person. It's not a ghost. Of course you didn't see him at the time. He was in camouflage. I did read some comments on that video and people seem to share the same sentiment that I did, that it's like, if people from a minority group are telling you to please knock something off because it's disrespectful to their culture and their urban legends and, you know, all that stuff, like maybe listen to them. It's just very weird to just not listen to them. And I would also just like to add to my opinion on that, while my opinion's the same. I would also just like to add for anybody who's like, no, it just can't be worldly. That just looks too freaking weird. I just want to remind people to look at the big picture of the world. There's over 8 billion people on the world. There's more people than you can really fathom in the world. And just like when you go online and you think that your opinion is the popular opinion, or you think that nobody in the world could possibly think one thing, but you can always find somebody being a naysayer. You can always find somebody with a weird ass opinion on something. Just like that, there's also going to be some people in the world that are going to put mud all over their bodies and dress up in camouflage and go out in the Hawaiian jungle and wander around. You're going to be able to find a few people on the planet that are going to be weirdos and go lurk around in the jungle. Maybe this was a person experiencing homelessness. Maybe this was a nefarious thing. Maybe it was somebody looking for a victim or something like that. Maybe it's completely innocent and it's just somebody, you know, wandering around. That's an explanation in and of itself. That's also possible. So yeah, that one also, again, supposedly paranormal in nature. And I think it's a pretty good debunk once you just look at the picture and realize that it's just a guy. So overall, I just thought that this one is just really satisfying. Again, not as crazy as people thought at first if you really kind of analyze the whole situation. All right, moving on. Coming in at number 4, this is going to be the child truck bodies fake story. So let's watch that one as a refresher.
Y'all, why did I just come across the video of the lady who was working at a truck stop in Mexico? Her job was to inspect semi-trucks that come through. A truck came through. The driver immediately gave something going on. He's sweating, he's nervous, he's shaking. Bitch, immediately she knew something wasn't right. She goes around to the back of the truck to inspect the truck. When she gets to the back of the truck, the door in the back was already halfway open. So all she did was push it up a little more. When she pushed that door up, why did she find hundreds of children's bodies literally stacked on top of each other like cargo shipment? And then what makes it so fucking scary is that a couple days later, why did this same lady who found these children bodies, of course she called the police, but why was she found stuffed inside of a suitcase days later with a note that said, this is what happens when you see stuff and don't mind your business. Y'all, why the fuck was it the cartel?
Yeah, so if you recall, none of that happened. Literally nothing. This woman who just posted that on the internet had absolutely nothing, no sources, nothing to back this up, didn't double check, just somebody, she probably just read it on Twitter and was just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just going to go spread this around and scare everybody. So here was my original debunking of that one. Here it is. I am so incredibly concerned that nobody that I could find in the comments was questioning this story. Nobody. This woman is just spreading information publicly on TikTok without any verified sources, without fact checking herself at all. Just sounds this terrible, horrible, horrific story with conspiracy theories in it, and then just being like, oh, well, that checks out, and just spreading it online, knowing that most people won't fact check it. Okay, there's no actual proof. This is a horrific claim. This would have made international freaking news. Everybody in the comments who are claiming that they remember this story is saying that, yeah, they won't even cover it on the news because they don't even care, because it was involving the cartel, so they don't care about all those children. So it's just so sad. They just don't report it on the news. No, it's not a news story because it didn't happen. Then there was comments that were saying that I remember this happening in 2018 specifically, and it was a few years ago. And with some cursory Google search, by the way, it's important to note that because it was not hard to find this on Google, the story that people are confusing her story with. The reason that is important is because if people just took 2 seconds of critical thinking, they could have looked this up, seen that there's no merit to it, and she wouldn't have posted this in the first place. Okay, so here's the real story. In September 2018, a big semi near Guadalajara was discovered, and it did have 273 human bodies in it. They were wrapped in plastic bags and duct tape, and the Guardian article about this does specify that they were stacked on top of each other, just like in her TikTok, just how she said that these children were stacked on top of each other like cargo. While there were some children, quite sadly, amongst the dead, they were not all children. This was adults and children alike. Additionally, the way that she said that this was connected to the cartel and this person driving the semi was moving these bodies for the cartel, that is completely made up. It was actually local officials and actual government officials who were in charge of this truck, who owned this truck. I don't think it was moving. I think this truck was just found. I don't think they were like pulled over by inspectors. Now, the actual story is less sensationalized and less conspiracy theory-like, but it's not much less sad. These bodies, these 273 people that were dead, were in that truck because the morgue was overflowing. In this area of Guadalajara, I'm sure it is related to gang and cartel violence for some of it, but because of the rising violence in that area, the morgue literally couldn't keep up with the bodies and needed to store them somewhere. So local officials were allowing them to be stored in these trucks stacked on top of each other. That is extremely sad. It's so tragic. However, it's not the way that she's implying, that the person driving the truck took a big shipment of bodies from all the people that the cartel killed that week. This is an accumulation of violence from different scenarios, different gangs all over the area. Local authorities did eventually have to come out and admit that they had nowhere else to put these bodies. Now, as for this inspector woman who was hacked up and found in a suitcase later with a note saying this is what happens when you don't mind your business, when you see stuff, that part is completely fabricated. That part did not happen whatsoever. That was completely made up. And come to find, again, cursory Google search, this whole story, this made up story that went along with a video with the bodies that we just talked about was from Twitter/X. It originated on Twitter. And this person saw that or saw somebody else who was circulating it and was like, period, sounds legit. let's just make a little video and spread it around and scare people and also contribute to conspiracy theorists while I'm at it without doing any due diligence. And I do have some more updates and comments to add on this because, again, everything I said in the video was accurate. I have no updates in terms of that, but people in my comments did leave me some helpful extra context. So I read one comment, and this was from Yeehaw13, aka Aura Torres. Thank you so much for leaving this comment. And Aura said, Mexican here. Maybe this might explain where she got the other half of the story. Before the time the truck was discovered, there was a video of a woman who was having a panic attack on the street, and she swore that she saw a truck, one of those that carries farm animals, full of children. The video of the woman is real, but the info was never verified because, well, if a truck full of children was driving around, it would have been major news. If I'm not mistaken, the video of the woman did make it around some of those trashy talk shows that have news segments, and the conspiracy started because no one really knows what came of that. As far as I'm aware, that woman hasn't been declared missing or anything, so it's likely that she just vanished into obscurity since her claims were completely unfounded. However, the fact that she just disappeared has given people enough to start the rumor that she was threatened by the cartel. In short, there is a very real video of a woman genuinely having a panic attack. However, the truck was never spotted. People link the two stories because of the trucks. However, the truck that was discovered is the type that the woman described, and if I remember correctly, they took place in different cities. And I found at least part of that video that she's talking about. That video of the woman freaking out after finding a truck full of bodies. I was able, thanks to this comment, I was able to find part of that video. Can't find the full thing, but at least you can see here this woman does seem to be against the wall, freaking out. And this is the video that people are then filling in the blanks. The reason that this wasn't as well known in America is because this video seemed to go viral in Mexico, and this whole story seemed to be more of an urban legend that was popularized in Mexico. So then I found an article about this that I translated to English that also gives us more insight into this fabricated story. So it's not that long, so I'm going to read that for you now. I apologize for any translation issues because it's just Google Translate. The title said, "False that a woman who reported an alleged child kidnapping in a truck was murdered. March 12, 2019. The news about the discovery of the dismembered body of a woman who reported a truck carrying kidnapped children is false. The photos are edited and taken out of context. The story, which does not specify the date or the place where the event supposedly occurred, was published by this page and picked up by other portals such as this and this. Facebook users shared the post more than 110,000 times. But what actually happened? On February 22nd, a video circulated on social media of an agitated woman after she supposedly saw a semi-truck with children who appeared to be kidnapped. 1 week later, this source, a portal with only 5 articles, published that authorities had found the body of a woman from a video inside a suitcase, along with a piece of cardboard that read, "This happened to me for seeing what I shouldn't have and for being a snitch." According to the article, thanks to the woman's report, authorities found the truck that supposedly transported the kidnapped children. However, the image of the stopped trailer is edited. The original photograph is of a flour truck that was stolen in the municipality of Cordoba in November of 2016. In the original image, sacks of flour can be seen inside the truck. The photo was edited to make it appear as though those sacks were bodies of children. The other images in the article correspond to events that did not occur in Mexico. The first image showing police surrounding a crime scene was published by the Argentinian newspaper El Popular in 2012 when the body of a child and his father was found in the province of Buenos Aires. The second image of the suitcase where the woman was supposedly found was published by Panama's newspaper Telemetro in July 2017. According to the outlet, the body belonged to a man. So with my original debunking as well as those updates, that is what really happened here. So if you ever see this circulating online, you could direct people to this timestamp of the video and have them watch this to understand what the real story is. These are my favorite type of things to debunk, of just like sensationalized story that go through the rumor mill on social media and people keep adding to it, and it's literally a game of telephone, and like taking it all back and like stop, look. Let's actually look for sources. Let's actually look for evidence that any of this is true. Please don't post stuff on social media like this without looking it up first. Please at least do a cursory Google search. It's really not that hard. At least verify what you're saying. Stop spreading misinformation on social media. It's absolutely bananas. This one almost would have made it higher on the list, but it was not paranormal whatsoever, but still just a fascinating example of social media being social media. Okay, and number 3 is going to be the dark web shoes. This story also went massively viral in its time, so I had to include this, and it was one of my favorite debunks as well. The dark web shoes. The creator of this little series was Shiloh Hill, WWE, aka Thunderkeck on TikTok. This was one of the most talked about creepy series of 2025. So yeah, that original video has over 16 million views, and here was my original take on it. So recently, he brought this to light. He said that when he was on the dark web, he came across this weird website saying that it was selling these shoes, and the shoes a lot of them look like they have blood on them, and a lot of them have the names of people, their age, and they're all very expensive shoes. Obviously, the implication here is that a murderer is selling his victims' shoes on the dark web. That's the implication. The reason I did not devote an entire video to this is because it's fake and it fits into our TikTok debunking videos. Remember, most of you guys know what an ARG is, alternate reality game. For it to be an alternate reality game, there has to be gameplay. There has to be interaction with the audience, codes and puzzles that the audience has to figure out to help the story along. Unfiction series is similar to that, but there is no audience component. It's just a fictional story made to seem very realistic, specifically on the internet. This is an unfiction series that this creator is doing. So let me tell you why. First of all, this guy is very, very tech savvy. So if you look into him a little bit, he's kind of, I don't know if he'd consider himself a celebrity, like not an A-list celebrity that everybody, not like everybody knows who Sabrina Carpenter is, but he's a very well-known WWE fighter, I would say. He's very well-known in his space. He's well-known enough that he has a wiki page devoted to him, like a regular Wikipedia page devoted to him. And if you go on the Wikipedia page, you will find that he went to Stanford. He studied several things at Stanford, but one of the things he studied was computer science. So not only is he just incredibly smart as he got into Stanford, but he also knows computer sciences, meaning he knows tech well, meaning he could set up a website like this easily. So reason number 2, he then orders a pair of these shoes off the dark web. They conveniently show up to his house. He shows us what shoes that he ordered, and he tests them with luminol, and he basically tests to show us that the blood is real, that it's real blood. It's not fake blood. Now, it does react to luminol. I do believe that it's real blood. Like, I'm not doubting that. What I'm doubting is that it actually came from some rando murderer off the dark web, because blood is blood. So whether it's human blood, it's going to react the same to luminol as animal blood, and anybody can get access to animal blood. No, you don't have to go kill something out in your backyard. You can buy animal blood at the butchers. Many, many butchers sell animal bloods. Even some supermarkets, I believe, sells animal bloods in different forms. The reason for this is because some people use them in recipes. Culturally, there's different recipes in different cultures that use animal blood to cook. So what is stopping somebody from building this website, buying animal blood, and then getting all these shoes from the thrift store, covering them in this animal blood, and then setting them up on this website? But wait, I'm not done telling you why this is fake. Stick with me. Okay, so then he buys the shoes, and then he shows the shoes, and he's like taking a video of them, and he takes quite, might I dare say, a suspiciously long time to flip this boot over and notice that there's a VHS tape in the boot. I'm sorry, you didn't notice there was a VHS tape when you picked up a shoe and it was weirdly heavy and it didn't flop around with a VHS tape in the boot's part? You know what I mean? Again, that screams set up to me. B, if this was really a murderer sending out his victim shoes to people. He wouldn't add VHS tapes to people. Like, he's not trying. If you were, I'm just saying, like, if you were actually selling this shit on the dark web, you were a real murderer selling your victims' shoes on the dark web, you wouldn't try to be edgy about it, right? And also, VHS tapes are like, the second you see a VHS tape, you know that it's an unfiction or an ARG series. The second anything analog comes out, it's fake, it's a hoax. And then, if you don't need that as enough proof, he then finally figures out how to watch the VHS tape, and it is analog, classic cliche analog horror trope spliced together dream. It's just old movie clips, lots of audio of people talking, dialogue, except it's in reverse, which is so, I'm sorry, for how creative this guy is, that part was not very creative. It's like he copied and pasted every analog horror that came before him onto this tape, and then it has the guys, the shoemaker guys. I'll play some of the video for you here. Like, it is so unbelievably obvious to be fake, to be a series to me. But then I have one more thing. So the other thing is that then he conveniently never shows us which website this is. Shiloh, why won't you show us the website? I want to go on the website and see it for myself. Why won't he give us the little address? Is it perhaps because you know that since it went viral on TikTok, you know that thousands of people would run straight there to order shoes, and you don't actually want to mail all these shoes out to people? Like, that would be a total headache, right? Like, there's no way. If this is real, then share the website. I want to go on there. And I'll do you one better. Shiloh, if you ever watch this and you are claiming it's real, just ignore me if you're just gonna let it be a fun fictional series, because I love that. I'm not knocking you for making this, by the way. This is actually no hate to Shiloh. I think this is a cool art project. I will be following along. I'm very entertained. But I want to assure people that it's fake so that people don't freak out. That's all I'm trying to do here. So I'll do you one better. Shiloh, if you're watching this and you really, really want this to convince everybody that this is real, then give me the website. Let me go on there and order a pair of shoes that were shown in your first video. Not a new pair of shoes. I want to be able to pick the shoes that were shown in your first video that you uploaded to TikTok. I want to show a pair of shoes that were already on there, and I want to be able to order the ones that I want, because I want them and I want to be able to test them, and I will send them to a lab to see if it's human or animal blood. I am 1000% serious. If this is real, let me go on there myself and order a pair of shoes that were shown in the original video. If I am wrong, and this has nothing to do with you, Shiloh, you literally just came across it one day, I will put out an entire apology video, like a full-on dedicated apology video just to you for trying to debunk this. Update, Shiloh never messaged me or took me up on my offer to verify his story. In hindsight, and I will do this going forward, I should have contacted him and asked if he would be willing to verify the story if I could order something. I think that would have been more interesting if he hadn't responded that way, because the odds of him actually seeing my video are pretty low considering many people were talking about this story. So I can understand. I'm not saying that that's proof that this is fake just because he never reached out to me. It's I'm a nobody. He probably just didn't see my video. And he still does a lot of dark web content. He does a lot of WWE content and then dark web content. And I think the reason that this story was so compelling is because I do genuinely believe that a lot of his dark web content is real. I do think that a lot of the websites he finds are real websites and are real things. So that makes this story more compelling because there is like some truth mixed into it. However, my whole thing still stands. I still think that he made this up. The VHS tape alone is what sealed the deal for me on this one being completely fabricated. Because if you're on the dark web committing crimes, if this is a serial killer, like he's like wants us to believe believe, then you wouldn't be an edgelord like this. Like, it's just so silly. It's just so silly. This is just so clearly a little like his attempt at an ARG or an unfiction series. And then I think the other very obvious thing is that if there was real human blood on the shoes that he ordered from the dark web, he would have told the police at some point. He would have had to report this. Like, just because, yes, like we talked about, going on the dark web is legal. It's involving yourself. It's actually doing anything illegal via the dark web that's bad. He didn't do anything wrong per se by ordering something off the dark web. But again, like, why implicate yourself if this were true? Like, the police would then question you too if you had these bloody shoes with human blood on it. And then also, why wouldn't you report this to the police? I think is just another compelling piece. So again, very satisfying to debunk just because it was such a big story. Very, very, very disturbing premise, but very much fake. All right, and coming in at number 2, which I think is going to surprise some of you that this is only number 2, but Kin Panama is number 2. If you recall, Kin Panama is the account that went massively viral, millions of views every single video that he was posting for a while of this alien creature. He claimed a meteorite landed in his yard and that he found this little silver potato looking thing that grew into a very insane, creepy looking creature. So not really reacting to a video here because it was many videos in this series, but I thought this was the best, one of the best that I debunked. So here was my debunking of the original series. It's not real, you guys. You could all rest easy tonight. There was no doubt in my mind that this was never real to begin with. So yet again, a lot of people were saying that this has to be AI, right? We've seen AI make videos of weird ass creatures before and alien-like creatures before. So that is something that I suspect that AI was used for this series. However, we know for a fact that it wasn't all AI. Now, I didn't need to debunk this because in my mind, it's quite obvious that not only is this fake, it's also pretty obvious to me because this would be on the news. This would be a massive story. If somebody uncovered an alien life form from a meteorite, you would have to turn this into the government. And so to me, it's just like, this would be a huge freaking deal if this was real. So that was enough for me. But the other thing is that the creator came out and said that himself that this was fake. He showed behind the scenes footage of how he made this, and it turns out it was just DIY arts and crafts time with his family in the house. So a big part of this little creature thing was made out of hot glue. You know how hot glue kind of turns rubbery after it dries, and he made this creature thing by using hot glue. He fashioned that with some fake plants, and then, colored it in glossy paint as well as black paint and stuff like that to make this thing. I'm sure there are hidden motors somewhere to make it move, because I do think some of the movement is authentic in terms of it really being the thing. However, I am very suspicious that he used AI to make it move in other videos as well. AI is just getting better and better by the day, and it's going to change this video series because AI is making everything so convincing now, and it's just getting better and better. We're not going to be able to tell the difference here soon. So that's a whole other discussion, obviously. But yeah, so he came out and said that it was a hoax. This is how he did it. And so many people then were really, really, really upset or really just confused, or of course many people were like, oh well, the government, the NASA just came to him, or the Men in Black just came to him and made him put out a video saying that it was hoax. He's being forced to tell us that it was a hoax. The government did this for sure. Yeah, no, it is definitely real. It's like people will do freaking anything to believe the worst possible scenario. It's very odd to me. Honestly, I kind of respect this guy for coming forward and admitting that this was fake, but many people never got the update that it was fake because he kind of dropped off before that really happened. But the fact that he not only admitted that it was fake, but then showed us how he did a lot of it. And I also, again, no AI in this video. As far as I know, he didn't use AI. I think this guy is just kind of somewhat of an engineer and was able to use use various little mechanical things and little magic tricks to make this thing appear like it was moving in a lot of the pictures. But there's plenty of pictures of him just holding it up, and it's literally just a globs of hot glue and other creativity art project that he did to make this alien creature. He didn't have to tell us that this was all fake. He didn't have to do that, and he could have gone on to get many, 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 many views still, and would have probably still be getting hundreds of thousands of views. So I liked how he just like, okay, I played my role, I'm kind of over it now, here you go, I'm going to go back to posting videos about Panama. However, I do think that one was very deserving of spot number 2 because it was paranormal, very, very satisfying, completely closed book on debunking it, and also very viral when everybody was talking about this at one time, and it was a very unique, interesting story. So I thought that was great. And all right, here, you ready for number 1? My best debunk of 2025 was the little shadow boy. So let's watch that video because I'm sure many of you have forgotten what I'm even talking about.
It's okay. I can see you. Come to me. Are you a little boy? It's okay. Come here. It's okay. I don't know if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but it looks like it's going like back and forth. Is he moving? Is he moving? It's okay.
No, wait. Come back.
Where?
No, you come back. Go straight. Look straight. Towards me. No. Turn towards me like you were earlier. Put your back towards me.
That's from the account Whisper Tales of Gore. Remember that one? And here's my original debunking of that one, and it's a little longer, and I'm a little smug because I really did rip them to shreds a little bit. So let me show you my debunk first, and then I will explain why. So let's tackle the fire detector first. I know that's not paranormal, and I know that seems weird, but just stick with me here. If you go to the Instagram, the sister brother Instagram, as they encourage you to do in their bio, and you look at this video posted on Instagram, as you guys know, Instagram comments are usually a scary place, and people are a lot more brutal and honest over there. And a lot of people are complaining about the smoke detector and saying like, can you change the batteries in the smoke detector? It's so annoying. It's hard to focus on the video. And as much as I hate Instagram comments, I do agree with them. It is crazy how you could just live with chirping like that. It's so annoying. I don't understand. The reason I'm talking about this is because on Instagram, several people who commented this, they respond and say it's not the smoke detector, it's a REM pod. This is a REM pod. It is a ghost hunting device. We've talked about these on the channel before. I am personally of the opinion that they're complete bullshit. Even if ghosts are real, I do not think that they are anything more than like a pseudoscience magnetic field detector kind of thing that just like if there's a slight wave of heat, that's why they go off. I don't think they have anything to do with ghosts, but that's not the point. The point is that she's saying that it is not the smoke detector, it's their REM pod equipment, and the reason it's going off is because of the activity, because of this little boy ghost there is making the REM pod go off. Really? You're going to sit there and try to gaslight us into thinking we don't know what a smoke detector chirp sounds like? First of all, if that were the case, you would probably have the REM pod in the frame so we could see when it was beeping. And second of all, that's not what a REM pod sounds like. Here's a few videos of what a REM pod sounds like. And in fact, I'm going to insert 3 different short clips of what a REM pod sounds like when it's going off so you could see that none of them sound like this.
Physical health.
Yeah.
And
mental health.
Now, I didn't even need to show you those because, again, I know you're smart and you know what a fire detector sounds like, and I will not be gaslit into thinking that I don't know what a fire detector sounds like. That's why I bring this up, because that is red flag numero uno. They are already, even a tiny thing like that, they're gaslighting people and making it seem like that's ghost activity. That's not a fire detector. Unreliable narrators here, content creators that are willing to try to gaslight people to think that their footage is more believable. And then we have this TikTok video that they showed afterwards. It's just a screenshot of text, but that literally says all this great evidence that we have of ghosts, we have it, but we're holding it hostage until you follow us. We are not going to release it until we have 10,000 followers. First of all, that doesn't work. That's just not, that's not the way social media works. You have to put out content that people want to watch in order to get followers. You don't use it as a bargaining chip in order to show us all this great evidence that you claim to have. Them begging for followers to get to a certain point before they release more footage also shows me that they are motivated to go viral, that they are straight up doing this to try to go viral on social media. This is great groundwork and a red flag to show that they are literally willing to lie right to your face and tell you that something is something that it's not, that you literally, it's right in front, you can hear it with your own ears, and they're trying to tell you that it's not that thing at all. Okay, now let's move on to why I think this video is fake and why I believe that this is set up or edited. First off, according to most real paranormal experts, and there are paranormal experts out there, but it is pretty well agreed upon that ghosts do not cast shadows. There is an entity called a shadow person, and there are people who have claimed to see shadow beings, and they're not ghosts though, really. They are a different entity all on their own. And again, for people that have claimed to have encounters or seen them or have studied the paranormal to the best of their ability, now I am fully aware and agree that the paranormal is not science. It is not a science. It can't be studied like science. So all we have to go off is anecdotal, right? And people can study it to the best of their ability, but it's not an exact science, which is why I'm so skeptical of it to begin with. But according to experts and research, shadow people are a different entity that, according to most, are actually evil, and they are something else, usually mimicking an innocent ghost, and they're usually not friendly entities. Sometimes people say they are. Like I said, it's not a science, so we don't know for sure, but most agree that shadow people are not something you engage with, not something you mess with, and that if it's just a spirit of somebody, it's a ghost, and they're not going to be able to cast a shadow like this. So even if this was real, if they were the ghost hunters that they literally say they are, they claim to be ghost hunters, this is their whole life's work, right? I don't know if it's their whole life's work, but you get it. You get what I mean. If they are truly ghost hunters, they would know if this was real not to mess with the shadow person. They would absolutely know to not reach their hand out and say, come here to me, because that is inviting something that might not be friendly to attach to you. That's a crazy thing to do. And if you're a ghost hunter and you know what you're doing, again, like they claim to do, you would never do that. So that is another red flag that I call, that they either don't actually know what they're doing or they're setting this up. Secondly, what is this angle? What is this? It looks like you're sitting in a bathroom and you're conveniently cutting off the entire other room, almost as if you put something in the other room to cast a shadow on the wall that you'd only see from the bathroom. If this was real, why would you not show us any other angle? Is it perhaps because if we go around the corner, we'll see a chair or a lamp or something there, sitting there, casting this shadow? What is this angle? This is so weird. Who films like this? Who goes around a corner and films from a certain angle and doesn't move at all? And from the corner of a bathroom, very suspicious to me. And then the obvious scariest part of this video, the ending, play it right here for you again just a few times, and that is of this what looks like a little boy, what looks like a boy child running across the shadow, running across the frame. Again, notice the placement of where they are. They're around a corner in a very awkward place without moving, almost like they want that perfectly white background for contrast so you could see the shadow. So when they set this up, the shadow will be very, very clear, right? They're against a white door and a white wall. Now, I believe this was set up in one of two ways. They either edited this could just be a little shadow figure edited into the footage, and they reacted appropriately in the video to try to make it seem real. It kind of, I almost lean towards that because the shadow is so defined. It doesn't really look like just kind of the blobby shadows we see of ourselves. It's so defined, like you could see his legs and arms and head. Like it's just, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I lean towards, but they could also, if they knew a child or had a child, they could have set it up and set up all the lighting in a way to have a child just run across out of frame, but again, so that they would see the shadow. Either way, it would be very easy to set up, and it is set up in my opinion. But the reason I'm saying they put it against this white background and set it up in such a convenient angle and manner is because it would make it easier to edit. It would make it easier to either have the person run across to have their shadow, or it would be easier in the editing program to not have a bunch of different colors and contrasts that they need to work with. But again, like we said, most of us agree that ghosts do not have shadows. That's ghost hunting 101. If you are the ghost hunters that you say you are, you know that if you're seeing a shadow and not actually having a ghost, then that is not something you want to reach your hand out and summon, because in theory, you're at risk of it attaching to you. What that says to me is that they're either the worst ghost hunters of all time and actually know absolutely nothing about the paranormal world and ghost entities, because anybody would know not to do that, or they really are ghost hunters and they do know that, but this is set up. Either way, not looking good. And surprise, they continue, if they respond to people at all calling it fake, they respond gaslighting again to say that it is 1000% real. If you saw the real footage, this is not set up. If you're willing to lie about a freaking smoke detector, come on, girl. The reason that I think I am justified to be more pissed at them than I am about other paranormal videos on TikTok. I know it feels like I arbitrarily pick and choose who I'm more critical of sometimes. I do understand that, but I think for this particular case, what pisses me off is that they are trying so hard to like make this their job. Like they're like, we quit everything. I'll talk about that in a sec. They do say that in a Q&A, that they basically like dropped everything to become paranormal investigators and everything, and they really want to go viral on TikTok, and they want this to be like their full-time job. They want their whole paranormal investigating to be their full-time job.
Make it to 10K on TikTok. It just shows us that we're doing the right thing. We gave up so much. We spent so much of our money. We have given up our lives basically for this, because it's something that we love to do, to explore and prove the paranormal exists.
If you want paranormal investigating to be your full-time job, don't fake videos then, because the trust is just gone before you even got started. And I have a real problem with paranormal investigators faking footage. Like, I think Sam and Colby, for example, are complete frauds. I think a lot of their stuff is fake. I've talked about this before, but I personally think that the best paranormal investigators I've seen are Ryan and Nick Crawley, Nexpo and Nick Crawley on YouTube. They have a Nick and Ryan channel, and I love their series of going to the most paranormal places in the United States, and they take genuine evidence. I have never been able to find them faking anything, and I honestly just don't like, to be fair, I guess in full disclosure, I'm mutuals with Nexpo on Instagram. We've never met in real life though, or anything. Like we're not friends or anything like that. We're just friendly. And so I am like slightly biased because I've also been a fan of Nexpo for many, many years. So in full disclosure, I'm a little biased there, but like they really do genuinely just show us what they show us, and they make it in a documentary style and make it really great. I don't think it's ethical to claim to be a paranormal investigator and trying to expose the paranormal and show all this great evidence and then fake stuff. So obviously, I think it's fair to criticize that. It's just literally, what is the point? You're not a paranormal investigator then. You're not a paranormal investigator. What is the point? The entire point of paranormal investigations is to try to figure out if there's any merit to all the stories, if the paranormal is real, if ghosts exist. That's the entire point. What's the point then of doing this? It's just to go viral on TikTok. This was just further proved by that now deleted post that they had of like, we want to make it to 10,000 followers because we have so much evidence that we're like basically holding hostage from you guys until you follow us. Yeah, I don't like it. Another update, they did a Q&A on the smoke detector thing, and they doubled down on the smoke detector thing. So here's that clip.
Oh, the main thing is a smoke alarm. So right here I have a REM pod. REM pod was set up in that room. Everyone said it was a smoke alarm. This is a EMF.
It's amazing how everybody was so freaked out about the smoke alarm.
Electromagnetic detector. So basically, people thought this was a smoke alarm. So when things come close to it, it makes this beeping noise.
So we had that running in the room all night.
So this was going off in sequence, and I could understand you guys thinking it was a smoke alarm, but it was not.
I still think they're gaslighting us about that. I mean, they fake the shadow, so what else could they be lying about? Just like, here's their video, the sound in the video versus the sound that he showed us on his Q&A.
To it, it makes this beeping noise.
It's okay. Come here.
So I really don't believe them on that front. And second, I really don't think that this is AI either. Again, I think they set this up. It's possible that shadow was, maybe they went the easy route and made AI. Somebody did point out that here's the shadow. Here's a still of the shadow, that the arm on the shadow is very ridiculously long. I do understand that criticism of maybe that's proof that this is AI. However, I think that could also just be somebody running by, and the way the angle is makes the arm look long. Regardless, I stand by the fact that this is an edited video and that they either had somebody run by to make that shadow or not. The biggest, most obvious glaring piece of evidence for this to me is that they're sitting in a bathroom at this angle, not even looking into the other room. Imagine going in a hotel room and have nobody in the other room while you're doing a paranormal investigation. That just makes absolute no logical sense, to be sitting in a bathroom or wherever they're sitting with, and then talking to a shadow in the other room, but being around the corner so that the shadow's there. So unbelievably, please, if you're gonna fake videos, do better than this. Come on. I swear it's just so they conveniently have a big white background there so the shadow shows up in a really good silhouette. When they did that, in either they did an overlay in post to add the shadow, or they had somebody run by to make that shadow. The other thing I talked about in that video was that, again, if you were any sort of, if you were worth your salt as a ghost paranormal investigator, you would know not to try to reach out to shadow people, especially. And you should know that shadow people are generally a different thing, because ghosts, we most agree that ghosts don't have shadows. It's just very odd. They tell us in that Q&A that AI wasn't used and that they swear that it's not AI.
Q&As, is this video AI? No, it's not. I wish that you guys could get this footage. Whoever wants to, whoever is AI
can
expert,
test it,
can come over. I'll meet you guys. You guys could get the phone, look at the location, do whatever testing you guys want to do to prove that this is not AI, this is actually captured.
And again, like I said, I believe them, and I kind of think that they're saying that because they did set it up, but they didn't use AI, so they're technically telling the truth there. They said they're not using AI. They didn't say that they didn't set it up some other way. Anyway, the overall reason that this got the #1 top spot for me is because they're a paranormal investigating team. Like, they are supposedly supposed to be the most honest ones in the paranormal business, and they are supposed to be the ones that are trying to look for real evidence and prove that ghosts are real, not fake evidence to go viral on TikTok. So I think that this is like the most important type of video to debunk. And then the fact that it was just so paranormal, it did get a lot of views, and that I was able to kind of rip it to shreds and find holes in their story as a literal paranormal team. So 1000% this is fake. I would bet my entire savings account on it. And it was also like a pretty interesting video as well, not a run-of-the-mill, just like something moving, like you actually see an entire silhouette of a boy. So that is why I put that at #1. As for the top 3 of the year of ones that I couldn't really figure out, so I almost put the blind one in there, the woman with the blinds, because I think this is set up. I do think this is fake. Don't get me wrong. However, I couldn't figure out how she did this. But somebody sent me a link over email, and I kept looking, and there are blinds that have like remote control mechanisms. So I am suspicious that that is what this is, that she was hiding the fact that there was some sort of mechanical thing going on here that she was able to use her remote for. So I didn't include that in these. One of the ones that I thought was from the February 28th video, and that was from the Titanic Museum. That was this video. Here you go. This one, again, I can't debunk. I think that this is real. I liked the way that she reacted to this. I felt like the way that she reacted to people doubting her story was just very much the way a person would and should react, where it's like, I don't know, I'm just sharing it. Please be nice. But like, I don't know if this is, I'm not saying this is 1000% a ghost. I'm just saying it was a weird video and I wanted to share it. So I really appreciated the way that she handled this story. And then I do think it's very weird. Do I think there's probably could be a logical explanation for this? Yes. I do think maybe the acoustics were just something odd, that there was acoustics somewhere on the ship that you overheard somebody and it sounded a lot louder where she was. But I still thought this was a very spooky video in terms of like, there was no drama with it. There was no hubbub. I don't think she was actually trying. I don't get clout goblin vibes from this woman. I honestly think that she just wanted to share this with the world and see what other people thought. So that was one of my favorite videos of the year. My next favorite video of the year was the Christmas tree kid. This one was all the way from January. This one I think was filmed in December 2024, but pretty much 2025. Yeah, so that was this video. Now, I stand by the fact that this video is so creepy. I do think that this video just objectively so creepy. I still think that. However, I did read a comment from somebody else who worked with children for a long time. And this commenter said, I have worked with toddlers for over 16 years, 1 to 3-year-olds, and the kid in the Christmas video is not that unusual. I've had kids in hysterics because they remember that big trucks exist, and immediately they back away from windows claiming that trucks are coming in through the windows. It's just that they don't know the rules of reality, so everything is possible, and they don't have language to explain what they think or feel. Then we adults get unsure, and even if we think we cover it up fully, these tiny humans are so tuned into our body language that they pick up on us not being sure, and they get scared. Our insecurity translates into us confirming that there might be cause for worry. That is how this happens. But I don't think it's fake, just something that has a logical explanation. I really appreciated that comment. I really loved that. I felt like that was beautifully said, and I could see that that's this kid just having some sort of random existential crisis and just being like suddenly having scary thoughts and like being scared. And then somebody else also pointed out that it sounds like maybe this child wasn't saying ghost at all. Maybe they were saying something else. And it just like, because we were primed, because we were thinking about ghosts while watching the video, we thought it was a paranormal video. So then we just went ahead and assume that the child said ghost. So I also like that theory. I do absolutely still love this video. I do think this video was just so interesting. So like genuine. I do agree that I don't think that this video could have been set up. And so I do just think it's genuinely a good example of kids creeping us out. However, I do agree also with the commenter that most likely this was just a poor toddler going through an existential crisis for a moment, or having a normal developmental thing. Okay, and then the third video was another kid video that we watched. This was from Jenna Phillips. This one ended up with over 30 million views, and here's a refresh of that video. This one was so bizarre.
Logan's not getting down.
What?
She's not getting down.
Who, honey?
Logan's not getting down.
What's her name?
Kalong is not
Kalong?
getting down. Yeah, she's not getting down.
Where is she, honey? Where is she?
She's in the living room. She's not getting off the chair.
Okay. What would you like me to do about this?
She needs to get off the chair because she's gonna fall on her head.
Okay. How does she look?
It looks like she has makeup on herself.
Okay.
She's not listening to my words.
Okay, go tell her to get down, and then see if she gets down. Okay?
Teeth. Come on, you please get down. Okay. Good job. Thank you. She got down.
Are you playing with her?
Oh yes, I'm usually there. She was just there on the chair because I liked her to get off, so. But she's on.
Okay.
So going through the Christmas video that we just watched, I could see this being also the same, applying that logic to this video as well. This child looks maybe a little bit older in Jenna Phillips' video, but I could also see it like maybe the child was just talking to an imaginary friend and got very real about it. It is a little odd that she had to go to her mom to say like, can you help me talk to this kid about getting off the couch and getting in my spot. I think that's where I kind of get hung up on it, is that I do think that like kids with imaginary friends typically aren't they're usually not fighting with them over like something that they could just pretend that the imaginary friend moves over and gets on the couch, you know? And I just think that mom's reaction to this was also pretty genuine. She was like, I'm trying to help you, but I don't really know how. Like, my kid is so freaking me out. And so I, again, just love this video where it's just kind of up in the air of like, I just don't know. I don't think we have a definitive answer for this. Again, it could be something like that, mental health related. I don't think in this case, like I said in the original video, but like I do think that it's possible that something else was just, again, a developmental thing with the kid who just was having a moment, was just like not sure, or they saw somebody else talk, like we talked about in the original video. She sees mom talk to the camera, so she thinks it's also normal to talk to nothingness. So I'm not sure. Again, I don't think any of these are necessarily proof of ghosts or anything like that. I would never say that about a TikTok video, let's be honest. But these three videos I do think were not set up and genuine, and again, maybe not to fit. We don't know exactly what happened, even if it wasn't paranormal. So those were like my favorite videos that kind of stumped me this year. So yeah, okay. Tell me what you all think. Did you like this style of video? Should I do this next year? Did you enjoy going along with me? Did you disagree with me on my ratings for some of the videos? And did you have a favorite video, a favorite paranormal video of this year that you want to share in the comments? Please let me know. Thank you again to Hungry Root for sponsoring today's video, especially such a long video. And as always, if you guys want to join my Patreon for mid-tiers and above, we have the Iceberg over there. Part 11 I think is going up this month. We have like 10 hours of content over there of this not safe for work iceberg. Just some contingencies on that. You have to be the mid-tier or above because it's the exclusive video content, so the exclusive video tiers, as well as the fact that I don't post these videos on YouTube because I get pretty again, it's not visually graphic or anything like that. It's not that graphic in any way, shape, or form, but the language I use is not safe for work. I'm pretty crass and more open and uncensored than I am on any YouTube video. So they are available to watch via BitChute. So make sure that BitChute is available in your country, or Dropbox. Some people have audio issues on Dropbox. Other people have no issues, but the audio issues have been fixed easily by just downloading the video and watching it on your computer and then deleting it off your computer afterwards is what people have been doing. So if you're interested in that series, all the info for that will be down below. Huge thank you to you all just for watching my videos this year. I had so much fun this year, and this was one of my favorite content creator years so far. I've been doing this for full time for about 4.5 years now, and I just can't explain to you guys how grateful I am to all of you. Here's the top tier alien tiers on the Patreon, and again, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are having a great holiday, and I'll see you in the new year. All right, bye.
Från livets grottekvarn. Bullfest, bullfest hela dagen.